Hey everybody! I just launched my brand new course called How to Start and Grow Your Online Hair Extension Business. Check out the link below to get started. Hey ladies, this is Brianna and I will teach you how to do micro braids on your own hair. Subscribe right now if you want to see more beginner-friendly hair tutorials so that you can do them on yourself for free. My YouTube dream is to get my channel to 500,000 subscribers, and now that I have 405,000 subscribers, we are almost there. I want to do something very special for you all once I get to 500,000, so let me know how you want to celebrate this goal with me. Now click that subscribe button so we can get started with this gorgeous look. What you want to begin with is some braiding hair so you can do your braids, as well as edge control, some hair conditioning cream. You also need a hair tie, some hair curlers, duckbill clips, a comb and scissors. So these are all the materials that you are going to need to achieve your own micro braids. So I have a very small section of hair left here so I can demonstrate how to braid your own hair. And we're gonna start off with one package of braiding hair. For this look, I used about 6 packages of Connect-A-Lawn braiding hair in the color number 1. So that way they can look very dark and rich. So what you see me doing is I'm removing the rubber band so that I can begin preparing the braiding hair. So fresh out the pack, you do not want to braid your hair right away. You want to feather the ends of your hair because once you take the pack out, you can notice that the ends are very blunt. In order to create very natural looking braids and to also to prevent your braids from unraveling, you always want to do the feathering technique. So what you see me doing here is I'm pulling on random pieces of the hairs so that way I can break up the bluntness or the straightness that you see at the very ends of the braiding hair. This causes the braids to come to a very slightly tapered point at the ends, which prevents the ends of your braids from unraveling. So you want to continue to pull on pieces of hair to break off any line of demarcation. You want it to look very feathery. So you just continue dragging your hands down the hair and using your fingers to break apart any tangles that you may feel, and then continue working your way on the other side. So now at this point you grab your scissors and you're gonna clean up any ends that kind of hang down a little too low. So that way it's a lot more clean near the ends of your hair. So now that our hair is prepared, it's time for me to show you exactly how to braid your own micro braids. So I left a very small section of hair here because the techniques that I'm going to show you is the same exact techniques you are going to use throughout your entire head. So you want to gently unravel your braid with your fingernails or your hands or your comb, whichever is best for you. And then you want to make sure that you run your fingers through your hair to free any little bit of knots or tangling that you may have. So I prefer to start off this look with blow-dried hair. And as you see here, I'm parting with the rat tail of my comb. The way you want to part is to divide between 2 braids. So that way you're having a staggering effect with your braids, which I'll talk about a little bit later. You want to do a brick parting technique so that way you can create a lot of fullness at the scalp with your look. So I'm going to demonstrate with this pinkish reddish braiding hair so you can see exactly what you should do at your scalp when you're braiding your micro braids. So now you're going to pinch this small amount of hair to 2 unequal pieces. One piece is smaller than the other. Grab the smaller piece and wrap it around the bigger piece. Bring the 2 legs of the smaller piece together, and this forms the 3rd leg to your braiding hair. Taking your 3 fingers of your dominant hand, you pinch that smaller leg. Insert your index of your other hand in between those 2 legs. Wrap your fingers around to prepare for your braiding. Now grabbing your dominant hand, you're going to twirl underneath. Open your index finger and your thumb to pinch one of the legs of your braiding hair. This is how you want to prepare the hair in your hands for doing a 3-legged braid with your braiding hair. There are so many ways to prepare the braiding hair, but this is the way that I prefer. When attaching the braiding hair, you open your index and your thumb to feed your real hair into that leg that's right in between your index and your thumb. I added a little bit of hair conditioning cream to my fingers and you're just gonna coat it all the way through your hair. Now this is an optional step, but I highly suggest that you moisturize your hair as you're braiding it, because if you don't know this, micro braids last for a pretty long time, so you want your hair to be conditioned. Now you're gonna open your index and your thumb, like I've stated before, to feed your real hair into that leg of that braid. Now you're gonna grab that top piece and you're gonna rotate it around that middle leg where you just added your real hair. And to readjust your fingers, you just pull on your real hair with that leg a little bit and it'll get a little closer to your roots, and then you just continue rotating one leg over the other. This is such a simple and easy technique in order to braid micro braids with your real hair. So if you have very long hair and you don't want to add braiding hair, you can do this technique without having to add the braiding hair, of course. But if you want to add more length and protection to your real hair, then I highly suggest that you braid it with Kanekalon braiding hair. So you're just going to continue rotating one leg over the other and bring your other hand back around so it's a little easier for you to braid. Because when you're up at the top of your head, it's a little difficult to keep that same hand positioning until you bring the braid more towards your face. So this is the technique that I suggest when braiding your own micro braids. And then you're just going to continue braiding until you reach the very, very ends. Always braid to the ends of your braids so that your braids never unravel. And now this is exactly how it looks. So I haven't even trimmed the little bits of hairs that stick out the bottom yet or anything. Right after braiding my braid, this is how your braids should look. And when you add your real hair, it's only on one leg of the braid. And I'm gonna show you a second way you can braid your micro braid for extra security. So you'll see that in just a second. And this is how your braids should look when you're braiding your own micro braids. So now I'm using the scissors to trim up the ends of the hair. And you want to be very careful not to cut your braid off, so just take your time and skim across the little bit of hairs that stick out. So as you can see here, this is how clean and neat your micro braids should look. And you can choose to use any colors you want to achieve this look. For demonstration purposes, I wanted to show you on a lighter color braiding hair, and I want to show you how thin the ends get when you do the tapering effect. This makes the ends of your micros look extremely natural, and this prevents unraveling. And because of my technique, you can rotate your braids in all directions. And with my technique, your braids will not be too tight, which is very important for micro braids. Because your braids are so long and so tiny, you don't want them so tight at your roots because this can cause breakage. So now I'm gonna show you the second way that you can braid a micro braid. And what you're going to do here is divide your real hair into 2 equal pieces. That is the only difference between the first technique I just showed you and this technique that I'm currently showing you. So make sure to pay attention to this part, because this is a very creative way to make sure that your braids do not slip. I highly suggest this technique for bigger braids. We're going to start off with that piece there, and you want to make sure you prepare the hair in your braiding hair as I showed you before, making sure to always feed your real hair in between your index and your thumb. So right in the middle is where we're gonna add our real hair. We're gonna start off with that top piece here. So you're gonna feed it in the same exact way, opening up your index and thumb to pinch your real hair. Grab the piece that's over top of your fingers and rotate it to the side so that you can alternate between all 3 legs. Now that we're on a new leg, you're gonna add that second piece of hair into that leg of that braiding hair. And then you're going to continue to braid. So when you're braiding, you will notice that your real hair is only added to 2 different braiding legs. So one leg does not have your real hair, only 2 of them. That's how you know that you did this technique correctly. I highly suggest doing this technique, like I've stated before, with bigger braids. The reason why is because bigger braids have a tendency to slip when you only add your real hair to one leg. But with smaller braids, you don't have to do this process if you don't want to. But if you notice that your hair is very fine and silky, or that your hair has a tendency to cause your braids to slip, then I highly encourage you to do this exact braiding technique to stop your braids from slipping again. So as you continue to rotate your fingers around, that's how you actually do the braiding technique. If you don't have the braiding technique down, I highly suggest that you watch this video over and over again until you get it. Like I state in my tutorials, repetition deepens the impression. So watching it is not good enough to know how to do the style. You actually have to do it with me, so that way you can know the motions and you can be used to braiding your own hair. Now, to make all your braids equal to the very end, which means all your legs come to the same point, you just share some of the braiding hair from one leg to another, so that way you can effectively reach all all the legs down to the very ends of the braid because you always have to braid to the bottom so that your braids don't unravel. So this is how the braid looks once it's finished, and I hope this color really helped you to see a difference between my real hair and the braiding hair. And as you can see, I can rotate my braid in all directions without any pulling or tugging. And as you can see, the braid naturally gets thinner, which is very important for any type of braid styles that you do. So now I'm going to show you how to oil your scalp when you have so many braids on your head. And doing this is extremely easy, so I'm going to show you this little trick that I do. What I do is I move all of my braids to one side of my head and I start to work my way to the other side. So first you add a little bit of your hair growth oil or grease to your fingers, and you're going to make sure to oil the edges of your hairline. You're going to pull a row of braids to the front and you're going to make sure to get in between those parts. And then you just continue doing this process. So I'm gonna make sure that I go to the back as well to grab some of the braids to move over my shoulder. So that way I can oil my scalp. You wanna make sure that with styles like these that stay in your head for a pretty long time, that you oil your scalp so that way you're promoting hair growth. Now your hair grows naturally all on its own unless you have some health issue that prevents your hair from growing. But in order to retain the length of your hair, you gotta make sure that you keep your ends trimmed because split ends will continue to break. But besides that point, you're gonna put your hair tie on your braids so you can keep track of which braids you actually needed to move to the side so that you can continue to oil your scalp. So as you can see here, I just add more braids to that section so that way I can keep track with how much area I have left to go. So I already have 1/2 of my head done that fast because this technique is super easy. Now, one thing I want to show you is the brick parting technique. This allows for you to not have to braid as much braids on your head because as you know, micro braids are so tiny as you can see here. But this technique allows you to fill in the gaps perfectly without you having to braid so many braids. This is called the brick parting technique because you want 2 braids to be nestled besides 1 braid. So that way, every time you wear your hair up or down, your braids are parted specifically to prevent you from having any gaps on your scalp showing through. So as you can see here, I probably have no more than maybe 30 braids in this large area of my head. And as you can see there, it looks very thick, even though I don't have a ton of braids there. So now that we're done, I'm gonna show you how amazing the hair looks near the ends when you make sure to do the feathering technique. And I cannot stress this enough because I get so many comments about how to prevent your braids from unraveling. And the feathering technique is how you do it. So now I'm gonna show you how to style up your edges. With this look, every time I do micro braids, I rarely ever have any edges left out. But sometimes you may have a little bit of hairs left out, so of course you can style them up as you desire. So I'm using my rat tail comb and a little bit of my favorite edge control to style up my edges to create a little swoopage action. So you can skip this step if you want. As I stated before, every time you're using any products on your hair, it's up to you what you want to use and how much of it you want to use. With this style, putting a little bit of edge control does add a little bit more of a polished look to this beautiful braided hair tutorial. So this is how it looks once I'm fully finished. And this is how the hair looks when you pull it all up into a ponytail. And with my technique, you can rock high ponytails the first day you install these micro braids because my technique does not cause any issues on your scalp. It's no tightness. So you have no problem wearing your hair up into a ponytail if you so choose. And of course, you can wear it down the first day as well. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how to do a very easy side ponytail with your hair. The first thing you want to do is determine where you want your part to be. Now, some of us ladies prefer a side part. Some of us ladies can only rock a middle part because that's how we roll. So it just depends on you what you like to do. I absolutely love a nice clean side part. So as you can see here, I just smoothed my hair so that I can define exactly where I want my part to be. Now grabbing that section there, you're gonna tuck it behind your ears so that you can make your hair very flat and contoured to the shape of your head. So now at this point, it's very important that you make sure that you continue to smooth your braids down, allowing your braids to fill in the gaps so that way you can have a very smooth swoop. So I just revealed it that the secret to a bomb swoop when it comes to doing braids is to always smooth your hair throughout the entire process. So grabbing a large chunk of braids from the back of my head, I'm gonna wrap it around like a hairband around my ponytail. Make sure not to move your other hand too much because you want to keep all of your hair contained as you wrap this chunk of braids around the base of your ponytail. One little trick that I like to do is I like to slightly twist my braids as I rotate it around so that it gives me an extra tightness of security at the base of my ponytail. This prevents my ponytail from unraveling when I get ready to put the hair tie on the base of it. So now using a stretchy hair tie, you're just going to gently secure your band of braids that's around the ponytail so that way it doesn't unravel as you wear your style. Now, one thing I noticed is that it's a little tricky trying to put a hair tie around a lot of braids. So as you can see here, I'm pulling chunks of braids through my ponytail holder at a time so I can have a very secure fit around the base. I grabbed one of my braids from my ponytail to wrap it around it, and then what you want to do is use a bobby pin to secure that braid in place. So now if you have any further braids sticking out, just tuck them and wrap them around the ponytail to achieve that seamless look with this style. So as you can see here, I'm fully done smoothing out my side ponytail, and I adore this style so much. This is one of my favorite styles to wear with micro braids. So as you can see here, you can rock such beautiful looks with this protective style. Thank you so much for watching my micro braids tutorial. I love doing these videos for you all, and I want to continue doing this, but to do so, I need help from all of you. Subscribe and thumbs up this tutorial to support this channel. My channel currently has 405,000 subscribers, and my goal is to get to 500,000, which means we are almost there. I want to do something special once we reach this goal, so let me know in the comments what you want to see from my channel. Turn on bell notifications because you don't want to miss the videos that I'm posting next. Hey everybody, I just launched my brand new course called How to Start and Grow Your Online Hair Extension Business. Check out the link below to get started.